What's going on, New York sports fans? Welcome back to another episode of New York or Nothing. Like I promised you guys, right after every game, I'm going to be doing a little bit of an analysis and giving you guys my post-game thoughts on what happened in the previous games, win or lose. And shout out to the Knicks for getting a big W. New York's first playoff win in the last 8 years against the Atlanta Hawks to take the series into 1-1. By far, this is the best series of the first round. The Knicks and the Hawks have been the most gritty series that we've seen in so long. And you would think these two teams who finally made playoffs after so many years would be like a boring matchup with two just really confused teams, but instead this feels like an Eastern Conference Finals type of rivalry right now with Madison Square Garden hungry, starving for playoffs, so just going ballistic every single night. I was able to see this win live, so I really got to see the wrath and the fury of Madison Square Garden after a Knicks playoff W. The Garden is electric right now, and because of what's been going on with the fans, because of what's been going on with COVID over the last year, I feel like it's been the perfect storm for this rivalry to brew, with both of these teams having the understanding that they're the up-and-coming teams and they're really putting on a show. This game ended up being decided by about 8 points, with the Knicks being down as much as 15 points at a certain part of the game. And honestly, like, I was at MSG, the halftime was a little bit deflating. Like, everyone was kind of just like, eh. You could tell the fans were getting kind of restless. Let's start by talking a little bit about the Hawks and like what's going on over there. I think a huge reason that they lost this game is definitely Nate McMillan not being able to make adjustments. Kind of like what happened with Thibs in the first game. You could tell Tom Thibodeau was more prepared for this game, and the first half didn't work well at all. They probably played one of the worst first halves of basketball we've seen in the whole season. You know, their whole season, depending on the line, going down 0-2 against Atlanta at home. You know, you would think they'd play with a little bit more urgency, but first half played really poorly. But the second half they came out, and Nate McMillan did not make any adjustments to Thibs' adjustments. While the Knicks were going on a momentous run, he just left Trae Young out the game because that's what they always do, and that's just not how you can play during the playoffs. You cannot get complacent and just think your team is gonna get you a win. You got to make the adjustments. Trae Young, what a guy! He's been embracing this villain role in a really great way. And honestly, at first I wasn't really ready to see him as a villain because people were comparing him a lot to Reggie Miller and Michael Jordan, but he's being his own guy. He's a villain in his own right, because the villain of the Garden is going to be a guy who is kind of like scary in terms of he could get a shot off anywhere. He could get you anything on offense. And what Trae Young has shown us in the last 2 games is he's unguardable. Like, he's getting everything he wants off the pick and roll, getting other players involved and whatnot. And we were genuinely worried to see him come back in the game, but the Knicks made a run while he was out, and they capitalized on that off the backs of Derrick Rose, Taj Gibson, Obi Toppin. I'll talk a little bit about that later. Let's continue talking about the Hawks and what was going on. A huge reason that they lost this game is because their guys just weren't making open shots. And, you know, it's great that the Knicks came out with this scrappy win, clawing their way back to the top. But I need you guys to remember, if Bogey hits a few more shots, if Danilo Gallinari gets a little bit more hot, this game could have gone either way, because the Hawks offense got some firepower, man. Yes, the Knicks defense is phenomenal, but I felt as though we hadn't seen a good half of Knicks defense, or the identity that they have, until the second half of this last game. It feels like the refs really just want to put an imprint on the game, and they want to be involved themselves. You could really tell the crowd was just getting really into it, and the refs just weren't enjoying that. They just wanted to shut the crowd up, and it just wasn't working. The Knicks crowd was wilding, and man, that's another part of winning this game. The crowd being the sixth man and really rallying the troops. Maybe it doesn't affect the game in a regular way, but once the Knicks start percolating, once they get on their runs and the crowd starts going crazy, everyone starts feeding off that energy, and you could see that Bogey was missing shots. Herder was looking a little bit lost. You could see DeAndre Hunter wasn't playing the same in the second half. A lot of these guys didn't look as good in the second half, and you got to attribute that to the Knicks defense. And talking about the Knicks defense, I really feel like the tempo of the game changed after Reggie had that hard foul that got ruled a flagrant one. Now, when I watched the game, I didn't think the foul was really that hard, but I got excited just because the Knicks seemed like they were not leaning into the identity of defensive schemes all this, like, for the last few games, and it was just nice to see Reggie Bullock wake up. Like, he just woke up, and like you saw the team talk about it. You saw everyone get involved, and yeah, we got a flagrant off that, but the defense just seemed a little bit more locked in after. I gotta give credits to Tom Thibodeau, man, for changing up the defensive scheme against the pick and roll, not doing as much drop coverage, and really just changing the scheme. You saw him get really in there with the guys he trusts, Taj Gibson, Derrick Rose, the two guys he brought on, and man, they had a performance of a lifetime. Derrick Rose with the game high in points, and Taj Gibson just legit dialing back time, man, grabbing some key offensive rebounds, putbacks, and just doing what he does, setting the best screens on our team, and getting some pick and roll action going for us too. It feels as though the Knicks' woes on offense are showing up in their defense, and we could see that with like Randle and whatnot, where they're just not punishing these players enough. They're not like bullying Trae back. Like, Trae's getting every bucket on you. That's cool. Punish him back on defense. Get in his head. Get him a little frustrated. It was really great that we were able to win the game besides Randle's dud performance with 15 points, but I don't want to call it a dud performance because he ended up coming alive in the second half, only having 2 points in the first half, 13 points, and some key buckets in the second half, some key three-pointers to help get the Knicks back in the game. I feel like just getting this W with Randle still having a poor game was a message that this team needed to see. Not a message to scare the Hawks, but a message to let the Knicks know that, we got this. The crowd just hasn't been that great for Randle. I feel like he seemed a little bit passive and not as aggressive. There was times where Trae Young got switched onto him and he just was looking to pass. He wasn't really looking to attack the rim, and you could see it on his face, man. He just didn't look comfortable out there. He just looked kind of like shaken up, and that's not what you want to see from your all-star player. That's not what you want to see from your number one guy. But I really do feel like we're due for a Randle game. I think going down to Atlanta, having less fans, because New York has literally been the rowdiest crowd in all of basketball. So going to Atlanta, maybe catching a little bit of a break there might end up benefiting the Knicks. But who knows, man? Atlanta might come back swinging just because of the way New York has been acting last few days. Everybody wants to see New York lose. Let's address the elephant in the room. Let's talk a little bit about what happened, what adjustments Thibs made to win that game. He took out Elfrid Payton. What Knicks fans have been asking for, what I told you guys in the last video. I didn't want to see Elfrid Payton start, but he ended up still starting the game. Frustrating, but took bad shots, bad on defense. The few minutes he played really cost us. It was frustrating. Knicks fans were booing. And I was saying, like, we're down 13 points coming into the half. If Rose doesn't start the half, there's no shot we could win this. We're going to get crippled for another 5 minutes and then put Rose in. And to my luck, Rose is the first person who came in with Taj Gibson, and the defensive scheme changed. Everything just changed, and I loved how serious we took it in that second half. I really don't want to see Elfrid Payton start the next game. There's no way he should be able to play another minute in these playoffs because it's clear if we want to win these games, Elfrid Payton's not the way to go. I personally want Alec Burks to be the starter. The reason I think Alec Burks would make a great starter is because, let's say Randle doesn't have it going, we have someone else to get us buckets in the starting lineup. Obviously, besides that, we've seen Alec Burks play the point guard position through this season. Tom Thibodeau has experimented with that. So I feel like he would be comfortable letting Alec Burks handle the ball. He can make some decent passes and get others involved. And regardless, we play our offense through Randle. He's the primary facilitator, so we could just get Alec Burks buckets through Randle. And I think that taking him out of the bench would be beneficial instead of taking out Derrick Rose, who clearly plays so well alongside Obi Toppin, Emmanuel Quickly, Taj Gibson. I think Derrick Rose is really pivotal for that bench mob. I think let's move up Alec Burks to the starting lineup, keep Derrick Rose where he is, and let's give Frank some minutes, some more burn, instead of getting those Alfred Payton minutes. Let's talk a little bit about Obi Toppin now that I've mentioned him, man. I like, as much as I want to shout out Derrick Rose and Taj Gibson for that game, man, Obi Toppin got to be number 3. Getting the Garden just electric, man. He got everyone going nuts in there with the 3-pointer, with the block to the slam on the other side. The Garden was rocking as soon as they seen that. I see a video of his mom crying on the side because fans were cheering for him, chanting his name Obi at MSG, his hometown crowd. So proud for Obi Toppin. A lot of people have called him a bust all year, and I'm so glad he didn't let it get to his head. He's been playing minutes behind the most improved player in Randle, an all-star, and he's been nothing but a class act, just showing up for every game, getting prepared. And this is exactly what Tom Thibodeau talked about when he says the magic is all in the work. Giving Obi the burn all year, giving him those 10-minute games, and everyone's just like, why are we playing Obi? Why are we playing Obi? It was for this, to feel comfortable playing him in the playoffs and seeing him give us such important minutes, man. Shout out to Obi Toppin. This guy was unfazed, man, playing behind some of Randle's worst minutes of the year. I think at that point when he came in the second half, Randle maybe had like 5 points, like 6 points, and Obi Toppin comes to play to back him up, and unfazed, man, ready to rock, ready to roll. I'm gonna wrap this up by saying I love the position that the Knicks are in, overcoming a 15-point deficit, getting an 8-point win over the Hawks, going 1-1 at the Garden. I'll take that. The first game, you know, 2 less fouls, another 3-pointer, and that game is ours. So it's really interesting. I really feel like the Knicks and the Hawks both had a chance to go 2-0 in the first 2 games, and it's an evenly matched series, man. It's gonna be so interesting. I gotta give credit to Thibs for making the adjustments. I put the full blame on him for the last game, and I hope you guys can see why. He made the adjustments we needed, and we won the game. Like, Randle didn't play much better. Everyone was saying we have to have a 20, including myself. We were saying that Randle has to have 20 points for us to win the game, and Randle still had a calm 15. Rose went off, and even RJ kind of stayed quiet, and we still won the game, just based on adjustments, being prepared for the right place, right time of scenario. And I'm really excited to see what other adjustments Thibs will make with Nate McMillan's adjustments, because he's clearly going to make adjustments for game 3, prepare for what we had in terms of defense, and get a little bit more creative. Games could go anyway. I personally think that the Knicks will be able to take the next game. I think they're both going to go again 1-1 at Atlanta, going into game 5 with a 2-2 record against each other. So I think the Knicks will be able to win one of the next 2. It's just a matter of which one. I think with the momentum and maybe a possible Randle game, I think the next game is the best opportunity for the Knicks to win, take 2 in a row, put themselves in a comfortable position, and you know, whatever happens in game 4 happens. But it could go anyway, man. Atlanta could win 2, Knicks could win 2. This series is just been so interesting, so good so far. I feel like I have no other words to describe it. If you guys like my content, make sure you guys are liking, commenting, and subscribing. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on the last game. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that the officiating was good? Do you guys think that either the Knicks or the Hawks were getting too many calls? What did you guys think about Thibs' adjustments? Who would you guys like to see start instead of he who shall not be named? Anyways, always love, really appreciate you guys tuning in. I've had a really long day, and I really didn't want to record a video. I'm recording this video right now at 12:56 a.m. I just wanted to do it because I promised I would, and it's playoffs. It's playoff basketball, baby. Like, how would I miss it? I'm gonna talk to you guys soon. Much love. Let's get a Knicks W in the H tomorrow, and New York, we here. Peace.